how to set up your payment gateway for Shopify for beginners. Let's get straight into it. All right, so firstly, you need to obviously have your Shopify account set up. You go under payments, and you've got things like Shopify Payments is the default as well, and you will need to verify yourself, but you can use other ones. I recommend using PayPal. And once you set up PayPal, it guides you through. You need to make a business account, just use a free Gmail. And what you want to do is, I actually recommend using Airwallex. You can use it here. You can see it actually has quite a lot of available payments, which is fantastic. It covers all the major ones. You choose Airwallex and you install the app, right? So I've already pre-installed the app. You just install the app, you authorize it, and you can you can uninstall it at any stage that you want as well, and you can contact the provider, you can manage, so on and so forth. We won't get too much into that right now, but basically it is a third-party provider, but it is that they're really quite affordable and really quite cheap. I think they're really, really good. So you accept payments, Visa card, Amex, Union Pay, JCB, across all currencies. And I've said many times that Airwallex is phenomenal because you can have your payments, but also then your virtual banking in there as well, right? So once you go to install it and you have to log in, I'm not going to do that in this exact instance, but all you do is you just log into your account with Airwallex and it just integrates it in, right? And then it will settle everything like for like settlement across multiple currencies, safeguard against fraud with built-in 3D secure authentication, so it's very strong. You can do refunds, you can add your team because it's all you can do it all in either Airwallex, or you can do it straight within Shopify as well because it all integrates in, whichever. I'd strongly recommend giving your team access to Airwallex as well to check things, because I'm going to jump into that a bit as well, because I think that's really important. With a lot of these as well, at times you might need a specific company structure. So that's really important. One of the things I went into ChatGPT, and I put in, just so we can speak about it, why it's so important to have some form of structure, right? So, clear rules, taxation, contracts, strong consumer protection laws that reduce ambiguity are one of the main ones. Tax efficiency, no corporate tax or foreign owned LLCs, ability to deduce legitimate business expenses. So, you can actually claim a lot back on business. You can use it for banking and payment processes. Over time, Airwallex will require more verification. They do that as a sort of mandatory thing for KYC, know your customer. So you will find these things long term, right? Like, it might not be immediately, but you will find that stuff long term. Stronger fraud protection, higher processing limits. You can get things like, over time, credit cards and stuff as well, especially if you've got a C Corp in US. Brand credibility and customer trust for customer, suppliers, investors. They all require that, right? Because they want to treat it. It's an asset. It's a real thing. And one of the things that I really wanted to say is, allows you to separate your income, your expenses, your risk, your intellectual property, and your contracts. So I sort of wanted to add that in. I'm not going to get too much into it, but the main thing about as well that I always look at it is that then you're not personal lawsuits, because if there's no entity in the way, you are personally liable, whereas the entity could go bankrupt, but you are actually far less liable, right? Tax complications, account shutdowns, frozen payments, zero asset protection, no credibility. You won't be able to get things like credit cards and stuff as well, especially because you can get a bigger business credit card than you usually can a personal one. Now, I've logged into an Airwallex sandbox account. You can make a free one as well to test it out. Basically, you just go under payments, right? And so you can enable mock data. And you can sort of see, that your accessant, your refund rate, refunds, your risk. I'm always big on risk. There is a lot of people in e-commerce and that do take quite advantage. They actually use the fraud, the dispute system to their advantage. You can see the type of fraud, okay, that it is, or disputes. A lot of them is like high risk transaction, suspicious behavior, right? You'll find that a lot of the time it is that. 3DS, obviously make sure you have that on. That's really important. That will stop that. You can handle your disputes. You've got your settlements, and if you're using Airwallex for your actual virtual banking in your wallet, it'll go there pretty much instantly. You got things like payment links. Obviously, I haven't set it up in this one as well, so you can do all of that. Now, I think that is pretty powerful. And it actually is a lot cheaper than Shopify Payments as well. And I think that having it all in sort of one tool, what I like is Airwallex as well. that if you have an issue with your Shopify account, because I've heard people getting frozen and all of that, Airwallex is a great way around that as well, where you sort of can circumvent that, because there can be a lot of reasons that you encounter various issues on your Shopify store. I've heard many stories, so I always strongly recommend doing something like this. And I found a couple of tools, right? I actually set up an ITIN and EIN in a far different way. I used Fiverr. But nowadays, there's plenty of these sort of tools that are, public funded companies. You can use this Clemter. The other one I know of is Doula. And you can pay $300 for a year, right? Which is relatively cheap, if I'm to be honest. Or you can go on Fiverr and there's workarounds where you can pay like $50 as well. You can get people to help you with that too for very cheap. But if you want to use a tool like this moving forward, I would say a tool like this is really handy, because a lot of the time, as I said, with Airwallex, you'll need sort of verification and so on and so forth. And ITIN for international people stands for International Tax Holder Identification Number. EIN is the term for Employment Identification Number for companies in the US. Obviously, if you are a US citizen, you won't need an ITIN. You will have an SSN, Social Security Number. But for those outside of that, I wanted to cover that as well. This is still just really handy to have to help set up these companies. One of the things I really like that you'll find as well is a virtual mailbox, right? And a registered agent service. Really important stuff. I find that that's really important because a lot of the times you will encounter a lot of issues with getting letters and various government agencies not liking a number of these types of ones. So yeah, really, really handy. And they'll even help you with the formation stuff. So you choose whichever one. I think they're pretty much, this one's a little bit cheaper, right? So I'm not affiliated with either of them. I just did some research and I just sort of wanted to add that in. But basically, that's how you set up a payment gateway for Shopify, and why I recommend using Airwallex, right? It factors in a lot of risk. It's a great platform. It's highly scalable with your business. What I should also add that I did forget to add is that an Airwallex as well, again, what I really like is you can easily just add a new one. So as you build more brands, new one, new payment gateway, away you go. And using all of this type of strategy allows you to have a highly scalable, structured way that is also not 100% reliant on the Shopify ecosystem, so that you have control of your payments. One thing you should also be aware of is that they keep 10% of the amount of money that you generate as risk for refunds as well as disputes. That's just a very standard process. But other than that, it's fantastic. Again, like I've said it many times, you can have cards, virtual cards, so you can literally make a card for Shopify to pay for your subscription. You can use it for suppliers. You can use it for transfers, all in one, so that basically it goes into one. You get your cash flow as well as managing all your subscriptions, all your transfers, all your banking information, and obviously you even can make money back on it using yield as well. So you can, which is really, really, pardon me, yield. So, you can get that back as well. So it's just really handy to have. I find is really, really, really good. And so definitely have a look into it. It's a great tool. If you're interested in it, there's a link in the description. And I've put the other information down there as well. Otherwise, thank you so much for your time today. Have a lovely day. Take care and goodbye.